Hello there guys, welcome to another Unreal Engine 4 tutorial. In this one I want to be taking a look at a specific plugin, the Unreal Engine 4 vaRest plugin. Now if you're not familiar with this plugin, what this allows us to do is to make HTTP requests outside of our game to foreign servers and bring the JSON response of that back down to our game, decode that and use that information in some way. Now that high level overview might sound a little bit complex, but just stay with me, it's actually very simple. The first thing you want to do, obviously, is install this to your engine if you haven't already. I already have this installed to mine, so I'm not going to go ahead and do that here in the video. Now, the second thing that you may or may not want is a free tool known as Postman. Now, Postman allows us to make these HTTP requests from our desktop so that we can sort of see what response we're going to get back before we try and decode this in our game. So it's going to be very useful to hear us in this video, and I highly recommend that you check out this free tool as well. So, firstly, let's just take a look at where I'm going to be getting my data from. Now, this is a free API hosted at openweathermap.org. Go and check them out. Thank you very much for their API. And generate yourself an API key and go ahead and jump into making some requests. So what happens if I fire this request off over here is that it contacts the server, and their server sends me back a message with these things here. So I have something like list. I have some temperature in there, which is 294.54. So let's go ahead and get that data into the game. Let's imagine that you wanted to use that value for something, such as your cloud system or whatever. Now, I'm going to show you a quick example here. In this starter map, I have a simple fire that's been placed down. Its scale is set to 0. And what I have here in the level blueprint is an example of how you might make one of these HTTP requests using these blueprints. So let's go ahead and walk through the code first of all before we see what it does in action. So on begin play, I'm going to call a URL, and this node right here is part of vaRest. So if you're not seeing it, it's because you either don't have the, what do you call them? Add-on? Well, you don't have the add-on enabled, or so the plugin rather. You don't have the plugin enabled, or you don't have it downloaded. But if you do, and you've got all that set up right, you'll see here that you have vaRest. And under utility, this node that I'm using right here is the call URL node. So I've put my URL in there. I'm going to be making a GET request. Now, GET is where you're pulling data from the server. If it was a POST request, you can push data from your game up to a web server using this method. You can also put and delete things, but I'm going to leave that for another video. So I'm going to get the data from this URL, and when this node gets a response, I want it to fire off this custom event here. Now this custom event is going to break down the response and turn it into an object. So this whole item here will now be a JSON object within my game. So from that object, I want to get a specific field, and the field that I've chosen is list. If we jump back into Postman, you can see that inside list, it's of type array because of this open square bracket here. Let's just maximize that. And list each item in the list array contains something like this. It's got a DT, a main, a weather, clouds, wind, sys, and DT text. We're only trying to get one of those out, so let's jump back into Unreal. And I'm going to open the list field. Now, list is also an array, so I'm going to get the first item in the array with a simple get here. And then I'm going to convert that to an object. So let's go and have a look at where we are now in terms of this. So I have this item here now is my object as opposed to the whole thing. So the object that we're now dealing with has main, DT, weather, clouds, wind, sys, etc. So I jump back into Unreal Engine, and from this one, I'm going to want to get the temperature. So I'm inside main. I convert main to an object. So like I said, this is now my object. Sorry, this is now my object. I'm now inside main. And from within main, I want to get the field temperature. Now, temperature is a number, so I'm going to get a field as a number. Get number field here, and that's of type temp. And all I've got here is a reference to the fire and to make the scale of the fire match the value that I get from the web. So you'll see that when I start the game without making this request, the fire obviously stays at scale of 1. And when I hook that request in, hopefully we should see some big flames. And there we go. So the game instantly makes a call to the web server, gets the response back, breaks it down, and realizes that the value that we're trying to pluck out of all that data is 294. So that fire has now had its scale set to 294. Now you'll notice that I calculated I didn't type in any numbers here. I didn't decide what the fire was going to be. The size of this fire is determined by the response of the weather API server. Now, if you wanted to change this fire and have I don't know, a blueprint perhaps of particle systems, one for cloudy, one for rainy, one for sunny, and you want to come in here and you want to get this data here, well, you could create something that parsed this data, this clouds, and changed the particle system to match what the actual weather was. This tool can be used to create a live weather system using real-time weather data. So that's been a really brief overview of the vaRest plugin, making a call out to a foreign server, getting some data back, and modifying something in the world based on the data we've received. I'm not spending too much time getting too technical in this tutorial. I really just sort of want to introduce you to the plugin if you've not seen this before, bring some attention to it, and really just sort of put this new tool in your hands and say, go ahead, go and create whatever it is that you can and whatever it is that you want to create with this. This is a really, really powerful tool, being able to contact these free APIs, and there are dozens and dozens of them out on the web. Just search for a free API, you'll find things from weather to temperatures in different places and all kinds of different crazy pieces of data that you can contact their services using this plugin, pull that information back into your game, and you can really affect the game using some real world data that way. So this, I hope, has been useful to you. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to see me construct something using the vaRest system, so maybe that weather sounds interesting to you, but you're not too sure how you'd like to go about that, leave me a comment below. If enough of you guys request that, I'll go ahead and see if we can make a weather system using this, using these plugins. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you haven't already, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell, and as always, I will see you guys on the next